ready to start Module 2, Lesson 4, our last lesson in Module 2. So in the last lesson, Lesson 3, we learned how to add and subtract decimals. In this section, we're going to learn how to multiply and divide them. So again, the process is a lot easier than drawing the pictures. I do want to show you the picture once though on this first one, because it's kind of cool to see how the copies language works, but after this we're just going to work on things by hand. Just do the algorithm. So do you remember when we learned in lesson, I think it was module 1 actually, that multiplication can be read copies. So this is 4 copies of 8/10. So that means 8 out of 10 of the strips need to be colored in, and we need to do that 4 times. So these two things are exactly the same thing, just a different way to write each one. So 4 copies of 8/10. So 8/10, remember, is 8 strips out of a total of 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's 1 copy of 8/10. And then we'll use a different color to do the second copy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 2 copies of 8/10. And let's do the next one in a different color. So 3 copies of 8/10, 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1 more copy because we need 4. So 1, 2, 3 copies of 8/10. So 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now our illustration is complete, and now we can read the answer from what we have. Remember, I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can see it just for this problem. So remember that this stands for 1 whole. So 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, and 2 strips means 2/10. So it's 3 and 2/10 will be the answer. 3 and 2/10. So 3 wholes plus 2 strips are 2/10 or 2/10, either way, but this is decimals, so we keep the answer in decimals. Had we done the algorithm, I usually put the longer number, remember in multiplication, order doesn't matter, so I put the longer number on top and the shorter number down low just to make it easier to do. And you'd get the same answer doing 4 times 0.8, but this way I only have 1 line. If I do the other way, I have 2 lines. So 8 times 4 is 32, carry your 3. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. And the algorithm for multiplication says don't have to line up decimals anymore. You can see we did not line up the decimal. 4's decimals here. 0.8 is there, but what we do for multiplication is we count the total number of decimal places. There's only 1 decimal place in this problem, so we count from the back. 1 decimal place in the answer. So if this had been 0.4, for instance, then we'd go 1, 2, and we would have went and made 2 decimal places. But we just have 1 decimal place in this problem, so 1 decimal place in the answer. So that's the algorithm, and that's what we're going to use on the rest of the problems. But I just wanted you to see how cool the copies language was, how you could not even know how to multiply, but be able to get the answer from understanding the copies language. Okay, so this packet is going to be a huge waste of paper since we aren't going to do all the things. And you can, if you want, you know, just see 5 copies of 1.4. So 1.4 means 1 whole and 4 strips. So you do 1 whole and 4 strips. Then you do 1 whole and 4 more strips. And then you do 1 whole and 4 more strips. And do that 5 times and you would get the answer. But that's time consuming. You wouldn't have time to do that on the test, but it is kind of a visual cool way to see. So let's just do the algorithm. So again, 1.4 is longer, so I'm going to put it on the top. 1.4 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry our 2. 5 times 1 is 5. 6, 7. And then I look to see 1 decimal place total in the problem, so this is 7.0, or you could even write 7. 7's probably better, but either one is correct. So as you can see, multiplication is very easy. Just multiply and count your number of decimal places from the back. There's 1 decimal, so my answer should have 1 decimal. Okay, we have a couple more here. So let's do one more together and then I'll let you guys try one. So I'm going to make these a little bit bigger now that we aren't using up a whole page so we can read this. Okay, so 0.4 times 0.8. They're both the same size, so it doesn't matter which one's on top. So 8 times 4 is 32. Carry our 3. 8 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. And we don't have to do the next one at 0, but if you did, you'd have 0. And then 0 times 4 is 0. And 0 times 0 is 0. So you can see it doesn't affect your answer. So you don't need to do that. If it's only 0 there, you could just stop. Now we count the number of decimal places and add them together. 1 plus 1 is 2 decimal places. So when I go to write my answer, I count from the back 1, 2. So my answer should have 2 decimal places because 1 plus 1 makes it 2. So that's how it's different from addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction, you bring the decimal straight down. In multiplication, you add the number of decimal places, and that's how many places you must count from the back. Okay, so go ahead and turn off your video and try the next one, and then join back up with me and we'll check it together. Okay, I'm going to put the one with 0 in the bottom because that saves me a little time. So 1.4 times 0.5. So I can tell already that this problem is going to have 2 decimal places because 1 plus 1 is 2, just like on the last one. So we have 20. Carry our 2. 5 times 1 is 5, 6, 7. And we don't have to do the 0. If you did, it'd be 0, 0, 0, just like on the last one. And then we go 1 plus 1, 2. So counting from the back, we go 1, 2. So my answer must have 2 decimal places. So you could write that as 0.70 or 0.7. So any zeros on the end can be left off from your final answer. Either one's correct, but just so you know that zeros at the end after a decimal place do not have to be written. So pretty easy stuff, right? Okay, I think this is one of the pages I said that we could, yes, we can skip this one. I have like 5 or 6 of them X'd out. They're just regular multiplication, and since we already did the ones with decimals, I think we're good. Okay, so next we're going to try division. And then after we learn division, there's a whole bunch of practice on multiplication and division. So if you're thinking, oh, I need to practice more, that's okay. There's 2 whole pages of practice coming up. So with division, and this one I think it'd be pretty cool to draw the picture just to understand what division means. So this means 2 wholes and 4 strips, because this is read 2 and 4/10. So 2 wholes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I guess I don't need to count, do I? Because it's 2 wholes. Just color in the picture, Kim. So there's 1 whole. They're working on 2 wholes. And then we need 4 strips. So this is 2 wholes and 4 strips, because it's 2 and 4/10. So this kind of gives you a better understanding of what division means. So this wants to know how many 8/10 will fit into 2 and 4/10. So we need to divide this into 8/10. So 8/10, remember, is 8 strips. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's another one. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's a second one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can now tell from this picture how many 8/10, how many strips in groups of 8 fit in 2.4. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 of these in that. So I can tell my answer is 3. How many 8/10, so how many strips of 8 as a group fit into 2.4? And we have 3 full groups there of 8 strips. To do the algorithm, remember how the second number is always the number outside? So we write 0.8 outside, and underneath the division sign we put 2.4. So by hand, we do not know how to divide by a decimal place. So what we have to do is move that decimal place so that turns into a whole number. But the rule is, whatever you do to the outer number, you must also do to the number underneath, so you haven't upset the problem. So if I turn 8 into a whole number by moving its decimal 1 to the right, I have to turn 2.4 into 24. And the reason why that is if you had this as a fraction, ooh, I think my red pen is bleeding. And if you multiply the top number by 10, for instance, you have to multiply the bottom number by 10, because whatever you do to the numerator, you must do to the denominator, or whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. And we're going to learn later in this section that multiplying by 10 just moves the decimal place 1 to the right. So after you move the decimal, and this is the best advice I can give you for long division. Some people don't take it, and they're always the ones that miss it on the test. Rewrite your problem, because all those things, students do the division right, and then they don't know where the decimal is. Well, the decimal's now after 8, and the decimal's now after 24. So now you can see why the answer is indeed 3. 8 goes into 24 3 times. And then another thing students think is, oh, I got to put the decimal back. Absolutely not. You didn't change this problem because you did the same thing to both the numerator and the denominator. So it is an equivalent problem when you write it like this. So you do not need to move the decimal. And then students will go, well, where's the decimal now? Well, whenever you write a whole number, that means it's at the end, because wasn't it after 24 here? So the answer's just 3, not 0.3, just 3, because this is where the new decimal place is, and when it's after the number, that just means it's a whole number 3. So usually students need a little bit more work on this one than they do on, just checking to make sure I didn't skip anything, on multiplication. It's a little bit trickier to get the hang of. So let's do one more and then you guys can try one. So this is 0.08 on the outside, and it's really 0.08, and on the inside it's 2.4. So 0.08 into 2.4. So as I said on the last example, this needs to be a whole number before we can do the division. So this time the problem, the decimal place has to be moved 2 to the right in order to turn it into a whole number. So then I have to move this one 2 to the right, and when there's a blank you have to fill it in as 0. So like I said, number one advice, after you move the decimals, rewrite the problem, because then it's nice and clean and students never mess up on the decimal places if they do that. So this one's at the end, so it's now just 8. And this one's at the end, so it's now just 240. So look at that easy problem. Try to do that and you'll go like, oh, where's the decimal go? Here? No doubt about it. The decimal's at the end. This is just going to be a nice whole number answer. So 8 doesn't go into 2. 8 goes into 24 3 times. So put your 3 above the 4. Draw the line. Change the signs. And when we subtract, we get 0. 8, but we still have one more division left because we need a number here. So we say 8 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 8 is 0. And so our answer is 30. So however many places you move the decimal to make the outer number a whole number, you must also move this is called the dividend, this is called the divisor. You must also move the decimal of the dividend 2 places to the right and write your new number. So after you move the decimal, super easy, but you just have to be careful. You copy the problem correctly here and then just do regular long division. If the decimal's at the end, obviously you do not need to write it in your problem. Pretty fun stuff, right? Okay. Let me just make sure I haven't skipped anything here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're doing good. Paranoid now. Sorry. Okay, this one's for you. So shut off the video. Work this problem out. Make sure you have the decimal in the right location, and then turn the video back on and we can check your answer together. I'm a neat freak, sorry. Comes with the math territory. Okay, so this is a divisor of 1.4, and a dividend of 4.2. So I can tell that I'm going to need to move my decimal one place. So if I move the divisor over one to the right, I must move the dividend over to the right one. Then I write my new problem. My new problem is now 14 divided into 42. Both decimals are now at the end, so we're just doing regular whole number division. So we need to know how many times 14 goes into 42. Well, I know 14 times 2 is 28, so maybe it's 3. Let's check it out. 14 times 3 is 12. Carrier 1, 3 plus 1. Ding, 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 ding. So there it is. 14 goes into 42 3 times. So whole number 3. Awesome, right? I told you, once you move the decimal places, it's a really easy problem as long as you remember to move the decimals and rewrite the problem. Leaving it all those humps in is just confusing. That's why you clean it up and rewrite it as a new problem. Okay, next page. Now we have 4.2 divided by 0.14. So the 0.14 goes on the outside. Always the second number on the outside or the number in the denominator, whichever way they have it written. So second number or denominator, always outside. And then underneath the division sign, the dividend is 4.2. So on this one, I can see that I need to move the decimal place 2 places to turn the divisor into a whole number. So I need to do likewise with the dividend, 1, 2. So when I move this 2, that turns into 420. So my new problem is 14, a whole number, divided into 420, also a whole number. So it's just regular whole number division. So you're probably thinking, are these always going to be whole numbers? No. We just start off with the easy ones and then we'll move to the harder ones in a bit. So we already decided on the last page that 14 times 3 was 42. So I'll put that there. So above the 2, we put a 3. You always have to be careful where you place your numbers. You always place it over the last number you divide by. So 42, the last number is 2, so the 3 goes up there. 14 times 3, 42. Draw the line, change the sign, and we have 0. But we still have a blank place there, so we have to divide again. We can't just write 3 for the answer. 14 goes into 0 times, so I can see my answer is 30. And remember, division can be checked with multiplication. So if you feel like this is one of your weaknesses, do a check. You have to multiply these two, and you should get that. So let's just do a check so you have it here to remind yourself how to do it. It's always the answer times the divisor. So the quotient times the divisor should give you the dividend. So let's do it. So 30 times 0.14. So 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 3 is 12. Bring down your 0 for your second row, because I can tell I'm going to have a second row. So the 0 comes down, then we start multiplying. 1 times 0 is 0, so we have another 0 there. 1 times 3 is 3. Add those, 0, 2, 4. The answer should have 1, 2 decimal places. Is that the original number? Ding, 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 ding. It is. Yay! What a great feeling. I love it when I have enough time on a test to go back and check my work. It's such a good feeling to go, yes, I know I got that one right. Okay. Whoops. So, let me just make sure we're all good here. Haven't skipped any pages. Okay, I think I'm getting better. So now we have sum 2. Oh, is this the other page that I was going to cross out that I didn't see? Yeah, this is just regular whole number. Yep. So this is a long packet, 26 pages. So there's several pages that I have that I'm going to leave behind because I feel like what we need to do is practice. So the practice problems we're going to do for sure. So this first page is practicing with, actually there's 2 pages of it, practicing with multiplication. So you will get way more than you bargained for here. So how about we do 4 and then you guys do the next 4? Sound like a plan? So let's do 1, 10, 2, and 11, and then you guys can do the 4 in the bottom. Get some practice in. So 1.2, wow, all my pins are going nuts here. 1.2 times 3. So 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. And the rule for multiplication is count the decimal places. I only have 1, so I count 1 from the back. So my answer will be 3.6. Next we have 2.1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. There's only 1 decimal place in this problem, so my answer is 6.3. Next we have 0.12 times 3. And 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 2 decimal places total. So count from the back, 1, 2. And there's my answer. So this is a pretty fun, easy section, right? Very long, but fun and easy. Okay, next one, and then you guys can try some on your own. So 2.1 times 0.3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And remember, I don't have to do the next line if I don't want. If you did, it's fine. If you don't, it's fine too. So if you did, you would bring the 0 down and then you'd go 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. So if it helps you to do that, go for it. And then I count my decimal places. 1 plus 1 is 2. So counting from the back, my answer needs to have 2 decimal places. Okay, the next 4 are yours. So go ahead and work on those 4 and then shut off your video, come back, and we'll check the work. See how you did. That page. Okay, so let's see how you guys did on these. So 0.012 times 3. 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So 6, 3, 0, 0. And there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places total. So counting from the back, make sure you have 3 decimal places in your answer. And next we have 0.21 times 0.3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. And like I said, you do not need to do the next line because it just comes out all zeros. But you do have to count the decimal places to get your final answer. 1, 2, 3 total. So count from the back. So that means we need to put a 0 up there in front. And Alex will remind you if you don't put it there. So make sure you do, or you'll keep getting little snippy messages from it. Because legally you are supposed to have zeros in front of your decimals. Okay, 0.9 is longer, so I'm going to put it at the top, times 3. I don't know, for some reason it just seems more normal when the larger one's at the top. So since multiplication's commutative, I can switch the order at any time. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry our 2. 3 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. And this problem only has one decimal place, so my answer is 2.7. And last, 0.03 is the longer number times 2.1. So I can tell this answer is going to have 1, 2, 3 decimals. So we have 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. Then we have a second row, so I immediately drop down that 0 that's required for the second row. Then I start multiplying. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Add 3, 6, 0, 0, and 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So count from the back. Make sure your answer has 3 decimal places. These added up. And there we have it. Not bad, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and just checking to make sure we did both pages. Yep. One more page. Like I said, you guys are going to be multiplied out, and then they do the same thing with division, so get ready. So this will be our last page on this video. We just hit 30, so we can finish right there. I think we'll still be on lesson C. Oh, no, we can finish lesson C. Good. Okay, so 0.3 times 0.9. My answer is going to have 2 decimal places because 1 plus 1 is 2. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry your 2. 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. My answer has 2 decimals, so count 2 from the back and put your 0 in. And this is the one that we don't have to do if we don't want to. So this page has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So how about we do 6 and you do the last 4, okay? So next we have 0.21 times 0.03. 0.21 times 0.03. So 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. And then all those other zeros can be forgotten because they're just going to give us rows and rows of zeros. So we can do our answer from this step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh, we only have 3 numbers. So when we're counting 4, that means we have to add another 0 there and a 0 in front. Now our answer has 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places, which it needs because 1, 2, 3, 4 for the original problem. So when you're counting from the back, 1, 2, 3, if you run out of numbers, just add a 0 to make it 4. Okay, next we have 0.03 times 0.9. This answer is going to have 3 decimal places, 2 plus 1. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry our 2. 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. 9 times 0 is 0. 1, 2, 3 decimals. So just put your 0 in front. Okay, couple more. I think it's a little bit overkill here, isn't it? This is a lot of examples. So we have 5 times 3 is 15. Carry our 1. 10 plus 1 is 11. So 5 times 3, 15. Carry our 1. 10 plus 1 is 11. This one is going to have a second line, so I immediately add my 0 at the end, which is required every time you do a second line, and then start your multiplication. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 5. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3. And this problem only has 1 decimal place, so count 1 from the back. There's my answer with 1 decimal place. Okay, 2 more for us, and then you guys can work the last 4 on your own. So 0.03 times 0.09. Oh my goodness, same numbers over and over and over again. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry our 2. 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. 9 times 0 is 0. We don't have to do any more because these are zeros. My answer has 1, 2, 3, 4 decimals, and I only have 3 here, so I got to add a 4th and then the 0 in front. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. And then we have 2.3 times 1.5. 2 decimal places for this answer. We could actually just look at this answer up here and go, oh, it's 3.45. But I'm not going to take a shortcut. So 5 times 3 is 15. Carry your 1. 10 plus 1 is 11. Second row, bring down your 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 5, 4, 3, and this one will have 2 decimal places, so just as we predicted, it was this answer but with 2 decimals, so 3 and 45/100ths. And the next page we're going to skip, right? Yeah, because it's just a blank page. So yes, go ahead and do these last 4, and this will be the end of this video for us. So shut it off, do the last 4, and then we'll check them together in just a moment when you come back. And we'll start on student page D in the next video. Okay, so let's get these last 4 done. So 0.03. Oh, I wanted the larger number on top. So 0.009. 0.009 up here. And it doesn't matter the order. Remember what I said earlier. It's going to give you the same answer. I just like the longer of the 2 numbers above. So 3 times 9 is 27. Carry our 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. And we're done. We don't have to do any more because the rest are zeros. This one should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. I only have 4, so I got to add a 5th there. Because we count from the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then put a 0 in front. Everybody do okay on that one? And we can tell what's going to happen here. It's going to be 0.345, right? Because this one is the same numbers as above, but with 3 decimal places, but we'll play the game. 0.23 times 1.5, 15, carry our 1, 10 plus 1's 11, carry our 1, 0 plus 1 is 1. Need a second row, so we immediately drop our 0 and start multiplying. 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 0 is 0. So that gives us 5, 4, 3, 0. And 1, 2, 3 decimal places, so 0.345, just as we predicted. Okay, last two. So 0.003 and 0.009. Again, 9 times 3 is 27. Carry our 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 0 is 0. And we don't have to do any more multiplying because the rest are zeros. But we are going to have to add some zeros because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places. So this is 4. So 5, 6, because we're counting from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then put that 0 in front. So that was a pretty fun one. And this one, let's predict what this one's going to be. 4 decimal places, so this one's going to be 0.0345, I bet. So 0.23 times 0.15. Here we go again. What is this, about the 5th time we've done this exact same problem? So 15, carry our 1. 10 plus 1's 11. Carry our 1. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Add our 0, because we have a second line. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 0 is 0. So we get 0, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Add a 0 in front, just as we expected. So the final answer needs 4 decimal places because 2 plus 2 is 4. So the next page is blank, so we're not going to do that obviously. And we'll start our next video with student page D. So see you in a little bit.